Hey folks, welcome back. It's Rob. Probably my last video in the series unless something needs to be covered. Here we are in the Iron Age, looking at the Elite track. And as you can see, the wheel is different again. It's quite an attractive wheel at this point, actually. Here we have Aurora, who loves her husband, Cuddles, and they have a child, Candace. And we have an ally on the table, and we have an enemy on the table, and you can see lots of nice beads down here. And we have some nice tokens. And I'm basically making the video to show you the Iron Age ruling game, because it's, again, different from the other two Ages ruling games. There's a Senate. You're voting. As you gather power, you'll attain vetoes, and it's different from the other aspects. And you need to keep grain production, slaves, national unity and order, and you'll see in a moment here. Let's see. Let's move. Now here's Mom. Mom loves Dad, so I can use her to slingshot Dad forward. Like so. And then we'll just move Mom up. What do I have a lot of? I have a lot of paved roads. Oh, well. The skills at this level are regular army, coinage, paved roads, libraries, senate, and sanitation. Okay. Now, here's the ruling game. Dictator. Last year the Senate enacted. Add taxes to slaves, buying their freedom. Worker and tax income increased. Improve the shipping infrastructure. Shipping efficiencies help to keep the grain supply consistent. Extend citizenship to more men outside the capital. What? That was defeated. That would have helped improve unity. Aurora is favored by the worker faction, which is why I'm dictator. I'm not actually a dictator. Upon gaining all controls of the Senate, Aurora assumed full control of the Empire. Oh, well, I guess I am now dictator. And because I'm dictator, that brings on the challenge of the age, folks. So, here's the big finish, as it were. The Senate voted to revoke the third governing power bestowed upon Aurora. Both rival factions combined against hers, but Aurora had already consolidated the bureaucracy under her rule. Their votes meant little more than the grumblings of old men at the baths. The Senate pronounced Aurora a criminal, but she was halfway to becoming a god. The Empire had been weakening. For hundreds of years, the capital and core provinces grew fat upon the feast of conquest. Every addition to the Empire brought new streams of resources: food, riches, slaves, ores, and curiosities. The center gobbled them into addiction. To defend vast borders, military doubled and redoubled. To lock down rebellious provinces, they quadrupled again. The Empire's funds and administration were close to shattering. So, what does that sound like? Oh, the Roman Empire. So, Aurora overhauled the tax system, leveling the needed income firmly across all social statuses, including for the first time citizens in the capital. Aurora took the reins of the military into her hands and whipped them into war to continue expanding the empire. Aurora established a new capital to escape the old bureaucracy rotting from centuries of corruption. Or Aurora declared herself a god, built temples across the empire, and wallowed in every delight that could be wrung from her grip on it. So I could be Nero. Actually, this is more Caligula. The new capital's more Nero. This is more Caesar. And I think that's Augustinian. So, they're all viable tactics. What shall we do? Why not? Let's go for being a god. Haven't done that one yet. Somehow the Empire staggered along intact. Perhaps the slavish devotion with which many citizens welcomed their new god had been sufficient glue in the short term. Nations outside the Empire were difficult to call savage. South and east borderlands had become as sophisticated as the old capital. Neighbors further north were savages no more. The towns and villages increasingly relied on trade between themselves and the Empire. Their standard of living was lifted high. Farther still, powerful nomads ranged to increase their domain. They struck northern nations like bocce balls, sending them into conflict with southern ones until the Empire was pressed hard by massive migrations. Legions groaned and strained under the impact from well-trained, strategically led warriors motivated to survive. Crap. Again, what does that sound like? The Roman Empire. Darn Mongols. Okay, so Aurora turned the Empire's full attention to bolstering the military. Aurora tried to buy security from buffer nations between the Empire and further aggressors. Aurora clung to power, escaping into debauchery, wantonness, ignoring external trivialities. Well, you know what? I'm not going to be that irresponsible. I'm actually going to bolster our military. I know it's bland. Taxes and conscription flooded the provinces until many were drained of patriotism. Revolts cut into the heart of the empire, distracting the military from greater threats. Outlying provinces fell to foreign invaders until the capital itself was threatened. A final surge broke through the walls, unbreached for 500 years. Aurora and the family were slaughtered by the ensuing pillaging. The victors claimed the throne and established their own emperors, conquered by the majesty of what they had defeated. The Vandals. They've gone and conquered us. That's it, folks. That's really it. Aurora passed away without an heir, continuing from untried siblings. That means I go back, and as you can see, we're still on the top tier. It's just I try the sibling here, and we try again. And if I manage to get through that challenge of the age, then that's it. I mean, that's the game over. We move to the medieval era, and that hasn't been made yet. So, that's all there is really to show. But I hope you enjoyed this small video, and I hope you enjoyed the series. And I'm looking to see what else to do next. If you have any ideas or suggestions, or if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. And thank you very much for your attention. I hope you have a grand day. This has been Robowski, Rob or Robert, depending on who you know me as. And thank you. Goodbye.